Welcome to the Great Awakening Show. I am Joanne, Divine Life Yogini, and on this week's show, back again, we have Jean Nolan. Jean is a songwriter, artist, and inspirational speaker. He finds his purpose in inspiring others to live theirs. Together with his partner, Kristin, they have been expanding and creating ways of teaching and passing on knowledge, as well as channeling the creative energy to help people transform their lives, empower themselves, discover their purpose, and experience practical spirituality. Jean wants to empower you to connect to Source, God, the universe, to hear your own guidance system, intuition, and to have the confidence and tools to live the life of your dreams. His Inspired YouTube channel has nearly 500,000 subscribers, and he interviews incredible people from all over the world.
Health Radio, the station that makes you feel good.
Jean, thank you for coming back to the Great Awakening Show.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be back on the show.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's really great at this really crazy time that we are living in. So I've got some fantastic questions. And Jean, honestly, people now are really beginning to wake up to the lies and the deception perpetuated on humanity for hundreds of years. Everything we have been taught, about our world and about us ourselves, I believe is a lie. Is it not?
Well, it's hard for me. It's hard for me to disagree with you on that. And the reason really being is I've been questioning the reality around me for as long as I can remember. And my really in-depth research began, decades ago now. So it's been many, many years. And everywhere I look, it doesn't matter what I look into, it isn't what it appears to be. And so often the thing is that people have a hard time wrapping their minds around. It's not that reality was distorted. It's not that things were changed a little bit. So many things we believe to be true are complete fabrications, and our own history, really history itself, the history of humanity, is one big deception. It's nothing like we were told. We're nowhere near the pinnacle of our human capabilities. We're beginning to awaken to them again, but we have lived in a time and in a culture that was truly divine and truly in connection with our divine purpose. And so to say we have reached our quote unquote biological potential and now we need to be, artificially changed, it's just another story that we're being told. And it's so important at this pivotal time in our history to really realize this, because time is, it's an illusion, but we're experiencing something here. The door on the one side is opening, but on the other side it's closing. Depending on where you walk through, you're going to experience something very, very different in the near future, very near future. So I can just encourage everyone to take your words at face value and really look behind the scenes of everything, uncover first within yourself, but also in what's happening in the world today.
Oh, that's so true. That's so true. And I mean, what are the main deceptions for you? What do you see the main deceptions that have held us back, out there in that 3D world?
The biggest one, and before we talk about the 3D world, the biggest one is really the truth about ourselves.
Yes.
So, the entities, no, it doesn't really matter what we want to call it, whether we want to call it a cabal or want to call it, a secret society, and it doesn't really matter the name. These entities are nothing compared to a true human being. They're really, really low vibrational beings, and they know this. They know that we as human beings, who have a soul or are a soul having a human experience, are capable of so much more. And so their only aim is to keep us small and in a box. So what they do is they manipulate our perception about ourselves. So basically the messaging in the outside world, it doesn't matter where you look, whether that's through movies, whether that's through music, politics, science, anywhere, religion, everything tells you you're small, you're insignificant, you can't do a lot. So we need to help you. And this is the only way how they can really manipulate the world, that, the way they're manipulating it, because so many people believe they're powerless. So many people believe they don't have what it takes, when the opposite is really the truth. So that's the biggest lie. But
definitely,
you can understand this mentally. You can comprehend this mentally, but you need to realize it in your soul and heart, and begin reawakening to that truth within you. That's the process that no one can do for you.
Yes.
You have to do that for yourself.
It's a sovereign, soulful journey that one must do. We can only change ourselves. And I really just truly believe and concur with what you just said, because they have made us feel unworthy, sinful, not good enough. We have the God's divine flame within us, and we have the Kundalini, which is the sole purpose. We can create. They cannot create. So they the way that they do it is they put their agendas out there and their programmings out there, and to make us create that. In a world that. But we don't understand our power. We don't understand that we are divine. And I think that this has been the worst tragedy for the human race, that we have been taken out that divine spark. We don't know about our divinity. We don't know our power. And I think this great awakening, this is just teaching everyone that they are worthy, that they mean something, that their life has meaning, that they are, that they can actually awaken and make a difference in this world, and we can come together. It's just, I think that is the biggest thing, to know our true worth.
It is 100%. And you said something very, very significant. They really can't create, and they, being this nefarious dark force, they really don't have that creative power.
Controllers, cabal, elite, globalists, whatever you want to call them, the ones who've been destroying
exactly, the ones that do everything upside down. They're the backwards people. They walk backwards. They really don't. But what they do is, and this is the powerful message you just brought out, is kind of hidden in between your other powerful messages, is that they use our creative force by literally hijacking our minds, by literally infusing constant programming and ideas into our heads. And they're using this because when we begin pairing our thoughts, and if they're not our thoughts, they're just thoughts we receive from them. When we begin pairing these thoughts with the emotions that we have, and those are then negative, but it doesn't matter as long as it's charged with emotion, fear, worry, powerful, it creates a dark vision, and that dark vision is being projected into the field and beginning to manifest around us. So we're in many ways creating what we don't want, because we don't realize how this whole thing works. We've been cut off from that knowledge. We've been cut off from that wisdom. The beautiful thing is, a lot of people are, as you say, awakening to that. But we have some really, really powerful choices to make. I don't even think ahead of us. We have to make them now.
Yeah.
There's, these past 2.5 years have literally, they flipped the switch and accelerated at and gone to a pace we've never seen before, which has helped hundreds of millions, if not billions of people to see clearer.
Yeah.
But now the choice is going to be, and this is the choice that's really now, are we going to stay in an organic form? Are we going to be who we were truly meant to be? Or are we taking the artificial intelligence, the hybrid and even post-human route? And this is a decision everyone's going to have to make, because I believe in going to do it, completely detaching from the digital world, completely detaching from internet, because these things are going to be shifted into something very, very different. It's already, already beginning to happen.
Yes.
And so I believe if we want to preserve the species and keep really re-exploring who we are, we need to make that choice, and we need to become 100% self-reliable, fully responsible for our own lives.
Yes.
So that's I think the choice that's ahead of us. I know it's painful to hear for a lot of people, but everything you relied on all your life, it's gonna go away, or you're gonna have to pay the ultimate price to continue to enjoy it. So that's
Yes.
basically what I believe is ahead
And
of
I
us. We're
totally
already
agree.
here, basically.
Yeah, and I totally agree with you. And I think there's going to be like a two-world split where we're in the cities. You're going to have all the people plugged in. They're going to be plugged in,
Yes.
transhumanism. They're going to, you know, in these amazing futuristic like places, they're just going to be totally plugged in. And then there's going to be like people like us. We're going to have our tribes and our communities, and we're going to be living on the land, and we're going to be self-sustainable. And we're going to have all these healing centers for people when they see the truth, for them to come, you know, come and be live with one with Mother Earth, and come back to the simple ancient way of living, which we have been living for so many thousands of years on this planet, you know, if not millennia, since Lemuria and Atlantis. You know, it goes back so far. It's only these past, you know, new years, these 100 years, that it's really become apparent about what they're doing. And as you said, it's fastening up, and that fastening is exposing, and they're making mistakes, and it's exposing them. I mean, the light is so beautiful at this time, this divine love light energy coming in, you know, from the divine, from God, Goddess, and it is illuminating all of us. And it's just with this light and the mother energy, the divine feminine as well at this time, raising and balancing, it's purging all of that darkness up so that people can see it. And that's what's causing all the chaos. It has to come out. It's like a festering wound. It has to come out.
How else would you
otherwise we can't
heal?
see it?
I mean, do you, I don't know about you, but there is no emotional pain in my past or trauma that I was able to transform, heal, and forgive without looking at it. I just had to go deep enough to heal and transform it, which is, you know, this is how we heal anything. If it's, I mean, anything comes from emotional pain, but when it manifests in the body, we need to go both ways. We need to first find out there's something manifested in our bodies, and then we need to realize what has caused it. What is the root cause? And it's always soul pain, emotional pain, a trauma that has happened. The way we live in our society, everyone has trauma. It just depends on how severe it is. But our society is based on that. It's literally built on trauma. So and unless we look at it, we can't heal it. And it's the same in the outside world. People so often say it's so negative to look at things. It's so negative to uncover these things. Why do you even focus on that? It's because we need to bring the light into it, and we need to heal it, or it's never gonna be transformed. And so it. I don't encourage everyone to do it. Unless you've started with yourself, unless you've healed and balanced yourself, this is not your calling yet, and that's totally fine. It's not a judgment call, but you need to first heal yourself, balance yourself, ground yourself again, create that or remember that divine connection that you have, and then you can go as a lighthouse, as a portable lighthouse anywhere you want, and you can begin to help heal the big pictures. But it starts with all of us within, and then there's the practical side of things also, which I think a lot of times, and this might be a little harsh on my part, but a lot of times in the quote unquote spiritual community, I see this level of inaction that, you know, kind of, I think it's not very healthy, because when we become fully responsible, we need to understand where does our food come from? Where does our water come from? Where does our clean air come from? How are communities built? And not by default, but by actual co-creative power. And so it does require a lot of tangible actions. Where do our clothes come from? Where does the things that we want and need in our lives, where do they come from? And how can we take the power back to create them? So this is a whole new level of responsibility that I believe those who feel called just need to live up to that now.
Yeah. And that's so true, because this is the greatest awakening this world has ever had. And it's the 3D, all them old systems. It's an awakening on every level, isn't it? Education, food, pharma, politics, every single level of society is awakening. And all of them old systems are going to collapse. They have to collapse. They can't hold up anymore. You know, for the new to come in, it has to go. And you know, it's what side are you going to be on? It's, you know, this is a time to choose, you know, and this is time to choose where your heart is, where your morals are, where you're, you know, to be righteous. This is a time to let go of that ego and not follow the crowd or follow the government or follow what they say. This is a time to follow your true heart and your true calling, and turn to the right, be righteous, do the right thing, come together in unity, seek out your fellow human tribe, your fellow human beings who think the same of you and come together. This is what this time is all about.
Well, and also the realization that you can't save everyone, and not everyone wants to be saved. Yeah. So there's a good section of society that I don't mean to sound
they'll never wake up, Jean.
I don't mean to sound disrespectful, but they are bio robots. They're so far detached from nature, from authenticity, and that's just how they were brought up. They're literally hypnotized. They've been all their lives. They've been programmed. And there's really, I see a large section of society where there's really nothing to do there. They don't want it. They don't even know there is a choice. And so that's just to be accepted. But I do, I care deeply about those who are either on the fence or have already, are already in the awakening process. Those, I believe we can all help each other a lot, and we need to. And as you said, everything in our perception, my perception, not in the artificial world that's becoming more and more artificial as we speak, but in the natural world, we're going to have to really detach from these concepts. Just look at science, which our modern society is built on modern science. Which is modern science does, which is a lie. And what they basically do is to find out how life works is they kill it, dissect it, and then they want to find out how life works. It's all upside down. And once you see it for what it is, you understand we cannot gain wisdom from that kind of an approach. And it's the same everywhere else. We're and once you are deprogrammed, there's no going back. This is a beautiful thing. And we just did an interview with Gareth Icke, David Icke's son, and he said the beautiful thing is no one walks back. Once you see it, no one walks back. And unfortunately, his father, David Icke, said in our interview, he says, unfortunately, the masses are always wrong. So don't worry if you feel like you're not able to connect with the crowd anymore. It's because you have deprogrammed enough to see it for what it is. They haven't yet. And so I would just encourage anyone who's in that process, don't try to walk back. Don't try to. It's okay. It's totally fine. A new tribe will arrive. New people in your life will arrive. It's a beautiful journey. Yes. But I do understand the pain sometimes, the suffering people experience, and it's all part of this journey.
Yeah. And it's a lonely time sometimes. You're just in your cave, and all you've got is the internet and maybe, your community or your family, they just don't get you because you're awake and maybe they're not, But I think that more and more and more, so much is coming out, so much, over these next years, so much truth. This is a time of revelation. Great reveals shall be coming out in this world. And it's got the hand of God coming down. It has to preserve the beauty of life. Life is so rare. The Buddhists, they say it's such a rare thing to be born. So take responsibility for your life because it's so precious,
It is.
And then look after everyone else. And even if you to awaken others, don't force it to them. But even if you just plant that seed, that little seed goes straight into their heart and they go, oh, hang on a minute. What about that way of thinking? And it plants in there and then it grows and it grows and it grows. And then you can just, give them a few things to watch and stuff like that. That's all it is. That's all it is, because then the whole thing will just fasten up. And I think that that's what's happening with the society at this time. But what do you think? What is the dark ones? Their total agenda is for, it's terrible.
Well, it's a good question, and I can only answer. There's certain things I know, certain things I've studied, certain things I have an intuitive knowing about. So it's not really knowing, and I always encourage everyone to go and do your own research, but also your own introspective look inside of you, connect with your creator, connect with that guidance. But So basically, I think in the origins, this was a fight by, if you will, something like high priests, and I think by creative forces that wanted to match up to the creator, and see if they can create a kind of world and society like the creator did. I really think that was their aim, and I think it didn't work out the way they wanted to. And so the second best thing, I think, was to hijack humanity and kind of blackmail the creator into telling them the secrets. And I really think that's in its origins what happened. Now, I do think that these high priests, if you want to call them, these very, very evolved entities have already surrendered. I don't think really at work anymore. But I do think what they have put into motion, so the programming of the masses and the rulers, if in political positions and economical positions and secret society positions, I believe they're still carrying out this program without having this highest intention anymore. So that's also why we see such chaos everywhere. It doesn't match up anymore. There's no coherence in it anymore. It just appears to be. But there's this common idea, I think, that an understanding we have something they don't have, or they're so unaware of, so detached from. It's the soul. It's this amazing, beautiful, undeniable thing, and you cannot steal it. You can just surrender it. If you have it, you can surrender it to another power, but it can never be stolen against your will. And so what I think what they're doing is seducing the masses so strongly with so many things.
Consumerism.
So they will eventually, and they will eventually say, hey, this is so dreamy and so omnipotent, this metaverse that they're bringing in, where you will have an avatar and you can do anything at any time without having to physically do it, and it's going to be such a distortion of human perception. And all it will be all you'll have to do is pay the low price of your soul and basically upload it into the hive mind, and this is another thing, people think this is science fiction. No, they've just taken this knowledge, what creates life, what is really the co-creative force. And so I believe that's what they want to do, for people to upload their consciousness into a hive mind. Yeah,
they can control everything.
And it's going to be the power source. See, nothing in this world happens without human.
We are the power source. Yes,
we are the power source.
We've got the Kundalini within us. It's the soul potential, that nothing is just so powerful. But I truly believe it's like this. It's like a good versus evil, dark versus light war that has been going on for millennia on this earth plane. And at this time, I believe, and I always say this, but in the spiritual, it's already been won by the good, by the light. It just takes time to manifest down into our world of duality, and so therefore it causes all the chaos and everything, which has to awaken the masses to what the truth, So
well, I applaud you for saying that. At the same time, even though at a lot of times I feel the same way, I'm hesitant to say it because, again, it takes away oftentimes the inspiration for inspired action.
True.
And our whole world needs inspired action right now. And I know a lot of people say they've been working so hard all their lives, they just want to break. And when they hear about the good side has won, and when they hear this, it's like, okay, so I can chill now. But no. This is a time for true conscious co-creation. And as I said, really creating new structures for which is true freedom anyways. I mean, we've relied on all these system oriented sources of food and anything, power, all of that, and they're going to take it away. They were the ones who put it there. They're going to take it away and make it so that you'll have to make the choice to either fully enter, fully give over your sovereignty, fully give over your human biology and your soul, and then you can use anything you want. Or you're going to say no.
Your sovereignty.
Fully take it, but then you have to take it, right? Yes. And that's really key here. People say, well, who's going to provide my food, or who's going to do this? No, you're going to do it. Your fellow co-creators, you're going to have to do this. And this is the point that trips a lot of people up. And I just want to tell them, the more you do it, the more empowered you feel. There's nothing like going to your own garden. There's nothing like having a community of like-minded souls. There's nothing like being responsible fully for your own life.
Yeah.
Powerful.
Yeah. And you that is so true. And what I was saying about the good, has overcome and has won. But we are the mirror of God within. So it comes through us. We are the channel. We're the channel to bring it into this 3D, to bring it into this world. So we have to be the ones responsible to bring that beautiful goodness and light into the world. And we do that with our divine intuition. And intuition, that intuition is that divine intelligence within. It's the first feeling that you have. It's that, it's your soul, it's your higher self. It's the divine flame, isn't it? What does intuition mean to you? And how can we decipher between the truth and the lies?
Well, it's a very good question. And the terminology has, for me, shifted over the past years. I used to say it's in your heart. But the heart is such an emotional space. So it's going up and down through the motions. What you said really comes a lot closer. It's spirit, right? So, but what does it mean? So we in our culture, we don't have rituals to connect with spirit. Even the prayers within the religious organizations, unless you go into a monastery, unless you really learn the art of prayer, what you do in church or any other organization is really just reciting something without soul, without any feeling. You're just reciting it. And our prayers have also been reversed to asking constantly for something. And what are you asking for? It's all been given. It's all been given. We're just not aware of it. But to answer the intuition question, so when you connect with spirit, your highest self, the all that is consciousness, that to me happens in meditation, and it happens through the breath of life. So, a conscious breathing, awakening the Kundalini, as you said, and then having that connection. And then that intuition, it's its own thing, really. I mean, you experience it as a feeling, but it's not your gut. See, your gut is very much driven by the subconscious. So if something in the subconscious is triggered, like worry or fear, your gut, you'll feel it. It's like, oh, I feel it in my stomach. Your heart, of course, is very emotional, so it'll have that response. Your mind is very analytical, so it will have that response. But then the spirit, that can be its own thing, and it can sometimes be completely different than the rest of your being. And so this is really where I think truth and authenticity come from. And that's why we make choices when we are connected to spirit that make no sense to any other part of our being, but we just trust because it's coming from a higher place. And it's also when you receive ideas or thoughts that are so out of your regular thought patterns, you just all of a sudden you have this idea. It's like a light bulb and you don't know where it came from. It's nothing to do with what you've been reading, watching, or talking about. And I think that is intuition. Yes. So we're beginning to learn this again, how complex we are as beings, and that it's not, people say, listen to your gut. Yeah, it can be, right? But it's not. It's the only really accurate thing that we have is intuition, because it is not relying on our senses, on our five senses. It uses the sense that's invisible and that science cannot detect, or very, very primitively detect.
The sixth sense. The sixth sense. Yeah.
Which is all perceptive, right? Our senses have limited perception. We only see about 1%, less than 1% of the light that's out there is visible to us. Same with the frequencies. We only hear a small bandwidth of frequencies that are audible to us. But this sixth sense has no limitations whatsoever. So it can give you truth and authenticity without you understanding how it's working.
Yeah. And that is the divine working through you, It comes through you, and it's like the synchronicities, everything starts to line up. It pushes you into the correct path, your correct path for where you need to lead on to, and that's why raising our vibration and doing things and doing meditation and eating lightly and being with others like-minded and doing all this being in nature and all of these wonderful prayer, all these wonderful ritual. I do lots of ritual. I do rituals on the full moon and new moon, and it's so beautiful. I've been doing them since I was, practicing Wiccan, before I was a yogini, when I was 16 years old. And I know that it's like it puts me in tune with the mother, and the father. And it's so important to bring that ceremony back in, because it heightens our vibration. And it's so important when we're praying, we might be asking, but when we're meditating, we're silencing so that we can receive that divine, intuition, so we can receive it, and then it's like, you might be sitting down the next day and then it's like, bang, you go on the internet, bang, you're led to exactly the right place that you need to go. And you have to ask, of course, the angels.
Let me give you an example that just came to mind. It happened a few days ago, which is a perfect story of intuition and then synchronistic confirmation. So Kristin and I, my wife and I, were just doing a retreat here on the Gulf Coast in Florida with 25 wonderful souls that showed up for a transformative 3.5 days. And it was deeply transformative. And one afternoon, we were in an afternoon session. I was talking to the group, and the question was really, how do we learn to be true, organic, natural beings again? And I always say this is our natural state. We don't really need to learn it. We just need to unlearn the other stuff. But anyways, I was sitting there, and all of a sudden, I get this thought on how to show it to them. And I said, for the past days before you guys arrived, I said to the group, we've been sitting on the beach down there and observing this little girl. She must have been maybe 1.5 years old, tops. And she was just playing all day long, her full divine self. The parents were wonderful. They didn't interrupt her all the time or try to make her do things. They just allowed her to explore. And she was just delightful to watch, such human spirit, such beauty. And I told the group about this little girl, and I said, that to me, that's my role model. She's my role model. She's in the moment. She's fully present. Now, that very second that I say that, and mind you, the room that we were in was so windows all around, beautiful. She runs right in front of the window, and Kristin says, there she is. And she had never been there. This was a little further away from the beach. She had never been there before. She runs right in front of the window so all of the people can see her. And my wife says, that's her. That's the girl. And then the dad comes and they walk away. And she was never seen there again, never seen there before. In that exact moment, when that thought came to me, she came into picture.
Yeah.
Divine orchestration through intuition. That's really what this was. Exactly. I don't take any credit. It's not important. It's just when you're connected, life just becomes really a whole different experience. And you can't imagine how you were ever able to live without this paying attention to this.
Yes. I just rewatched Celestine Prophecy the other day, the movie. Yeah. And the other day, and it made me cry, because it's all about this and the intuition and synchronicities and feeling it and really seeing the world through true eyes, the truth, how we live in this beautiful, amazing, majestic earth, and how we are all evolving. And one day we shall be, shall evolve into our energy bodies, and then heaven, the veil between heaven and earth will fall, and it will just be the oneness. Heaven and earth will become one. And it was just like, wow, it's so beautiful. And but it's all about, this is what it is. But you have to be authentic and be in the moment and come with your open heart to be in that aligned state, that divine aligned state, to, see them and feel them.
Yes, indeed.
The synchronicities and the intuition. How do you see? Tell us some things that our audience can do, to help us. I know meditation is one, and going into nature is really important. But, as well, watching the good and watching some bad things, it's all relative. We can't just live in the light. We have to acknowledge to see the darkness as much as the light. out there and within us. That's very important, isn't it? But deciphering the truth in your heart, if it resonates, you know, with
the truth is that we started doing public speaking engagements and seminars and showing things to people, really, and always with the intention of leading them back to true selves, but a lot of truth and authenticity many years ago. And what I remember thinking is the people that showed up at our seminars in the beginning were usually people that either had a very difficult time functioning in this insane society, which I applaud. If you have a difficult time functioning, it means something is going right for you, because it's, you know, like Krishnamurti said, it's no sign of good health to be well adjusted to a crazy society. I'm paraphrasing, but what started to happen over the years when with the seminars is that more and more people from within the system, in political positions, in powerful business positions, started showing up, and they started to make changes. And that's a very powerful thing to observe, because then that affects a lot of people, right? Yeah. So if all of a sudden the CEO of a business with 1,000 employees starts awakening, well, he or she's going to bring that awakening to the whole company, the whole business. It doesn't mean everyone will be equally affected, but it shifts and changes things. So some of the tangible things that people can do is when they feel it inside of them, and meditation is really something I can't tell you enough. Breathing and meditation, conscious breathing exercises, breath work and meditation, it's changed our lives completely. But then you have to be the lighthouse everywhere you go. It doesn't mean you force your views or your opinions on anyone, but when you have the opportunity and the intuitive hunch to speak your truth. I mean, it used to be, I don't know how it was for you, but it used to be that you're like, okay, I need to read this situation. Can I fully speak out here? And then it just began that you could say these things everywhere, and it could be the cashier over here, and it could be a random person over there. Of course, nothing's random, but all of a sudden these conversations are going on everywhere. Yes. The awakening conversations. So don't be shy. That's one thing to do. And really take some, we always say this, look at your whole day, how you wake up, what you do first thing in the morning, go through your day and be honest with yourselves. What is serving you? What is serving the highest good of all? And what is not serving you in the highest good of all at all? And then cut those things out. Begin bringing new, 3 hours on Netflix a day will not serve you or, the highest good of humanity at all. There's, yes, there are things, like you say, to uncover and unveil, but there's so much stuff out there that we can simply just turn off, let go, and it will, because there's no more, these things are going down anyway. They are. You can see this. Yes. Because people are realizing
now. It's happening now. Yeah.
Well, you could watch the Celestine Prophecies and go, oh, my heart is so full. I feel, oh my God, what a beautiful creation. Or you can go and watch some dark show and you just, I feel drained, horrible, the world is bad, there's no hope. So that does, that is very important. And I do really encourage people, when you yourself are still in a painful or hurting place, or you still feel you're healing, don't go and do all that child trafficking research and all that stuff, not because it's not important, but because it's only going to pull you down further. And then, how can you be of service to yourself or others? Yes. For those, as I said before, for those who have been on this journey, who have healed and grounded themselves, I think those are the people that need to go into these places and need to bring the light there. And I applaud everyone. There's people who dedicate their lives to this. I mean, child trafficking, child sacrifice, and that's such a huge subject. And that too needs to be healed on this planet. Yes. So it's not one thing, but it starts with meditation for me. It starts with that connection. It starts with the breath of life. And I know people think it's how do I wrap my mind around it? You don't. You really show up until it begins to wrap itself around you. And that's really how things begin to change. It fills you up. And in our lives, when we decided, Kristina and I, my wife and I, to really show up for ourselves for the meditations every day, our lives changed so dramatically.
It's so important. You can't get that in the 3D. You can't get it from food. You can't get it from drugs. You can't get it from alcohol. You can't even get it from love. Well, love is just, in a relationship. It has to be, going within and filling your vessel up with that divine love light energy is such bliss, and just surrendering, just letting everything go, just being in this divine moment and with your true divine self. That's all. That's just what it is. And it takes practice. It takes practice to settle the monkey mind that has been going a million miles an hour. But, gradually, the space between the thoughts gets longer and longer and longer. And you stay in them moments of bliss for longer. And then you can take that blissful feeling into every thought, feeling, word, and action out there, which is giving it out, and then everything becomes a sacred living meditation. You are meditating in every sacred moment, action, word, feeling, and thought that you do out there. And that, I think, is just what is meant by awakening, or a spiritual, enlightenment, self-realization, having the normal out there, closing that gap, and just having that sacredness in every moment out there as well as in here.
And I encourage everyone, if meditation is something that sounds very intimidating to you, drop the work. Just show up for yourself. Show up for a moment of silence. And one thing that I love to do, but it's also a very good way of segueing into this, what you're doing is really, you're entering deeper spheres of consciousness and awareness that you regularly just don't access because you're in a different brainwave state. And so when you go deeper, this opens up. But what I encourage people to do is show up, take about 30 conscious deep breaths. Really, we don't do this. We don't do this in our daily lives. But 30 conscious deep breaths. And then when you relax, you will already be in a deeper state of relaxation and being. And then what I love to do, and this is first thing in the morning, I get up very early. I'm being awakened by the Creator very early. I just say, thank you. I love you. And this goes out to the wonderful source of everything that allows us to see the sunsets and that allows us to observe the birds, because it literally does everything. The universe does nothing but leaves nothing undone. And this beautiful force, I just love to say thank you, I love you. And this is a mantra I keep repeating: thank you, I love you, thank you, I love you. Literally within minutes, I have such a deep feeling of connection and gratitude and fulfillment and joy, and it's just beyond words. And it happens if you show up for it. So and then, like you say, the more you do it, the more you realize everything truly is sacred. And the more you see the world for what it is, the backwards ways. And so you then become a lighthouse healer in this world. Naturally, even though you might be doing something very mundane, not everybody has to wear a white robe to be a healer. You could still stock a shelf and be a healer. Yes. Because then you're the lighthouse at the supermarket.
That's it.
It isn't purpose. Purpose isn't this huge thing that the world needs to watch you and you need to be a celebrity. No. Purpose is just returning to your true self. Yeah. And then my favorite saying: before enlightenment, chop wood and carry water. After enlightenment, chop wood and carry water.
Exactly. Become humble. Yeah. Honorable.
It's a different frequency that you're doing it at.
Yeah. That is so beautiful. And that's so important. And being in I think, Mother Earth, she called me, when I was starting to go really into my awakening, my deeper, it was going into nature, so much. And she really helped me just to see the beauty, the absolute intrinsic, just in awe. And I suddenly became like in alignment, in that oneness with, the earth. But I fell in love with the earth. I fell in love with God. It's like being in love, in that oneness is so beautiful, and just feeling that, because I really felt like in my life, I'd given myself away and I'd done so many things. And it was like a scattering of my soul through, all giving away all these pieces of myself. And then the awakening with Mother, it's like she helped me bring all them things back together to bring me into that whole space again, which was so beautiful. With the meditation, that was when it all came together, and now I can't wait to sit in that place.
Try to be in nature and observe the trees and the leaves in the breeze and the squirrels and the birds. And if you're really present and observe them, try to do that and be pissed off or be in a bad mood. It's quite impossible to do that. I mean, yes, you can sit in nature and cut yourself off and think about something and get pissed off. Yeah. But if you really observe and are present, there's no, I mean, even I was thinking back of years and years ago. I used to be a professional alpine skier. So in the summers, we would go up to the glacier and train there because, we had snow and everything. And I remember on the other side of the mountain from where we were skiing, there's a very, very steep mountain. And if it had snowed a lot, you could expect avalanches. And an avalanche is something that people would say was something bad, right? But if you observe it from a safe place and you just observe it, it's something incredibly beautiful. When nature sets this in motion, when it's not artificial, it just happens when it happens. It happens for a reason. Everything happens for a reason. And even those things are extremely beautiful and soul soothing when you observe them. So there's nothing that can compete with that. And that's why I always say, it saddens me to see families that give their little children iPads and iPhones and let them be on the screens completely detached and not exploring beautiful Mother Earth. Yeah. I mean, a child that explores Mother Earth and it just connects. You can never break that connection later on.
The woods are the best place. I take my dogs and we all go out. Even teenagers, we go to the woods, and it's so beautiful. And we're all so happy because the prana, the divine love, light energy of Creator is the prana from the trees and all the beautiful green. It's uplifting. It heals you. They've got in Japan, they've got healing forests that you can walk in. I mean, you just feel so uplifted. And if you walk barefoot, try and put your feet. I try and put my feet on the floor on the Mother Earth, naked every day to feel that, just to feel that alignment and to thank them as well. Thank the Mother and thank the Father for this beautiful existence. It's just, and for this time, we're all here at this time. And no matter what job you do, no matter what it is, it's always a really sacred job. As long as you give it 100% and everyone around you, you're giving out, your beautiful awakening to everyone around you. It's just the greatest time to be alive. I think this time it's crazy out there, but out of craziness, out of chaos, order comes. Yeah.
Yeah. It's almost a dangerous thing to say, because the truth is that when we talk about this transformation that we're in, interestingly enough, both this evil force and both the good force, we all want the same thing. We all know these systems that have been in place are oppressing humanity, are oppressing our true nature, so they need to be transformed. However, the differences, they have a very dystopian vision. I think they believe or somehow have made themselves believe it's utopian. It's really dystopian. It's the end of anything real and human, again, to be improved by artificial intelligence, versus the other side that sees, okay, this needs to be transformed, but we need to do it from a consciousness level. And they have done the opposite. They have literally pushed down consciousness so far that people don't realize what's happening, versus any real change can only happen through realization, experience, and consciousness. So that's always grassroots. It's always from the bottom up. And it starts with the individual. And the beautiful thing is, and this is what I'd like everybody to remember, if you haven't heard of it yet, it's called the 100th monkey effect. And that is something that people forget because they think we need half of humanity. We need 3/4. No, we don't. What we need is the critical mass, if you will. And what the 100th monkey effect means, I want to put this in a nutshell, is if a realization has happened within a number of people, let's say 99, 100 people somewhere in the world, it creates something like a mass energy, but it also, in the invisible realm, in the morphogenetic field or the Akashic Chronicles, whatever you want to call it, a shift happens too. So all of a sudden, the realization that happened within those people translates over to people that are somewhere completely different because they picked this information from the field, and all of a sudden they have that knowledge without having to have the full process, which is exactly what we've been observing. It used to take people years to go through this research and awakening phase, and they had to put the pieces of the puzzle together, and it was a long journey, and it took us a long time. Now, boom, people within weeks, there's enough people have uploaded this into the field and they can download it. And this is how this field works. And this is why when you divide a particle into two pieces, it doesn't matter how far apart you put them. When you manipulate one particle and it reacts, even though you don't manipulate the other particle, it will still react in the exact same way because these particles are intrinsically connected. And so this is how we are. We're from soul to soul intrinsically connected. There's nothing you can do about it. That's just the way it is.
Yes.
So it is contagious, literally contagious. And that's why what you do around yourself, for your soul, for your awakening, you do for everyone without even realizing.
Yes.
So this is really important to remember, and just go. The 100th monkey experiment, the beautiful thing is this was done in mainstream science, and very interesting. So you can go look it up and see what it means, but it translates to all areas of our lives.
That is absolutely beautiful. And what we do for another, we do for ourselves. And what we do for ourselves, we do for another. That's the beauty of it, because it's that connection. It's that soul consciousness. There's only one consciousness, and we all have a part of that within us. You know, there's only one. And this is where it's coming. And it is a grassroots earth peace through self peace. It's all about us individually lighting our light. And then when we light our light, others see that light. And then they start to shine their light. And it just goes dun, 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 doesn't it?
And yes, of course. And the thing is, once you return to that light that's yours and return to that purpose that's yours, all you want to do is be of service anyways. I mean, I don't know people that have experienced this awakening fully or are in this awakening, because we're all awakening. There's no end to this. And just say, hey, no, I just want to make sure I'm taken care of. Everybody then wants to be of service and is so excited and so invested and so inspired to show and help others. And there's just one fine line here. As long as the others want to, that's fine. As long as they make the choice, you can't force them. That's very frustrating if you try to, speaking from personal experience, because the people you love, you kind of want to bring them on board and help them. But if they don't want to or not ready, it doesn't work. So really, that's why I said earlier, focus when you feel this call to be of service in whichever way you're called. There's no right or wrong here. But when you're called to be of service, make sure that you invest your energy wisely and where it can actually land and bear fruit. Because if there's no space for your energy to land and bear fruit, you're just putting it out there and you're depleting yourself, which is very, very challenging. But at the same time, sometimes it's liberating for people to hear that, because they go, okay, I can let myself off the hook. I can stop trying to persuade people. I can stop trying to talk them into something or try to show them what's really going on. No, when they're good and ready, they will or they will not. And that's also to be accepted. Yes. Some souls are simply making the exit from this organic, authentic realm. And that's just how it is. I mean, it's the nature of life anyways. I think it's just harder for us to accept when it happens at a younger age or when it happens in unnatural ways. But we're all responsible for our own soul journeys. So let yourself off.
Yeah, and there's no death anyway.
No,
it's like, we go on to higher forms of beautiful existence. Death is the great rebirth. It's just it just never ends. This whole evolving journey just keeps going on and on. The great mystery of life, is it not?
Oh my goodness. Well, Lao Tzu said, and I'm paraphrasing again, ever desiring, you will only ever see the manifestations. Ever desireless, you will begin to notice the great mystery, and the great mystery is what it's all about. So it also requires this letting go of our 3D perception of we need to gather more stuff and we need to constantly try to manifest more material stuff into our lives. If you can accept the present moment just for what it is, not even judging it for what it is, if you can accept it just for what it is, you'll find a certain kind of peace and more clarity will come to you. And so in our desire to shift the world, we need to find the balance between being present in the moment, accepting it for what it is, seeing clearly, because that's what makes us see clearly. Because when we're driven by desire, we become powerful, but we also get into this tunnel vision, right? We want to arrive at a certain place, and that sometimes cuts us off from this intuitive power that gives us better guidance. So balance, it's all about balance. And as a matter of fact, our biology is based on balance. Yeah. Yes, it wants joy, but it doesn't want extreme joy all the time.
No.
And if it goes into pain, it will want to go back into balance naturally. If it goes into extreme joy, it will want to go back into balance naturally, because that's how our biology sustains itself. So it's very interesting to be on this journey and to get to know yourself really well and then apply yourself to this beautiful world.
Yeah, that's so beautiful. It's the balance between our humanity and our divinity, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. Wow. Beautifully put. Beautifully put. Amen to that.
Yeah, amen to that. Oh, Jean, I just want to say thank you for all of your wonderful divine truth and wisdom on the Great Awakening show again. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. It's always an honor and a pleasure to talk and co-create with you. I always feel like we're leaving office in a co-creative space. And thank you to all the listeners, for being here, for showing up, and for doing your part in all of this.